Hello everyone and welcome back to Animation Pilgrimage, the show where Tennille and I take a look at every single theatrically released animated film in chronological order. I'm Whitney.
I'm Tennille.
And today we are taking a look at another Sun Woo Entertainment film from South Korea. We are in 1980 still, and we are watching 15 Children's Space Adventure.
Right. That's a name.
I feel like this probably read better in the original Korean.
I was seeing something else, a different name for it, where it's more like the drifting through space adventure or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, either way, this was an interesting movie that went in a lot of different places.
Yeah, so, I figured this would just kind of be like a fun adventure, sci-fi space adventure. However, there was a couple of moments where it was almost giving me Lord of the Flies vibes, and I was like, is this going to get dark all of a sudden? And then it never really did.
Yeah, it has moments like that. It also has other moments where it's just like, this is dark, eerie, creepy space stuff. And if this was not children, people would be dead.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But no, they can't kill any of these 15 children on this space adventure.
15 children is a lot of children.
Yeah.
That's like a whole classroom of children.
That's a lot of kids. Before we get too much farther, I do want to say thank you to Michael Ray for finding this movie for us.
As always, thank you very much, Michael Ray.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, do we want to do a plot synopsis?
Sure.
This is one of those that has a lot of plot because there's so many characters and they try to do 7 plots.
This isn't as bad as the other one where it was and then, and then, and then,
yeah.
and then.
Well, yeah, that one, which was the Starland Trio,
Mm-hmm.
that one felt like they were just kind of writing things off the top of their head. This one feels like it's a little more planned, but they created such a huge cast and probably wrote 3 different plots or had one person write a plot and no one was like, hey, can maybe streamline this a little bit?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So this feels like there's a lot going on as compared to, well, we animated these bits and we have to string them together somehow.
There's just too much going on.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
So, our movie starts with a man saving another astronaut in space. They have the stinking tethers that always break in these kind of movies.
Yep.
So, the one guy frees himself and launches the other guy back to the ship, saving him, dooming himself. We then smash cut to his son waking up 7 years later because his dad did do that and then presumably got lost in space and died.
And his son continues to have nightmares about this thing that happened to his dad, even though
He was 1 year old when it happened.
Right.
And he wasn't around, so.
Yeah.
Anyways, his son, who is 7 or 8, is going to a special celebration meeting thing for a bunch of children of astronauts and people that have worked on space things. So this is our crew of 15 children.
15 international children, descendants of various astronauts.
Yes. What a crew.
What a crew.
And these kids range from ages of 15, 16, all the way down to 7 and 8.
Right.
So it's not even like these kids are all equivalent in how much they're going to be able to do or whatever. It's
And
just a bunch of kids.
As far as I know, none of them have been given space training.
No.
They're planning on just sending these 15 kids who, in any realistic circumstance, would not be able to communicate with each other.
Yeah, because they do all magically know the same language, which in this case is Korean. But I can only assume that most Italian parents aren't teaching their children Korean.
Well, or American parents.
Yeah. Because this crew of kids is mostly Korean, Japanese, American, or Chinese. And then there's a smattering of various European countries. And then there's
Oh no.
There's the one brown kid and the one black kid. And oh boy, the black kid is shown to be an incompetent boob. They are given the large lips. They are constantly being physically assaulted by the other children in a comedic way.
I hate it.
It is really not cool.
Yeah, it's like,
because this does not happen to any of the other characters.
Of course it has to be a racist caricature, and of course they decided to just make this the comedic boob of the film. And I'm like, so it's to the point where you're like, well, at least the Middle Eastern kid is barely around. Like, he mostly just shows up in background shots so
of, like, the crowd.
He's not being ridiculed, but, like, I hate that I even have to say that.
Yeah, exactly. So anyways, they're being shown around this high-tech spaceship, and this old man is telling them, I feel like he's just, like, saying that maybe when you're all older this will happen. But I don't know. He's talking about sending them on a 45-year trip out into space to be good Samaritans to the universe or something. Is really weird.
They talk about, like, they need the children to go up into space so they can take care of the creatures or something.
Yeah, this is the part that's really weird, and it's like, what are you talking about? Either way, these 15 children are left on the spaceship by themselves, and then somebody on the ship launches it before, it was ever supposed to leave.
Right.
Because it wasn't supposed to leave today. And then space magic, they're teleported 11 light years away from Earth. They're now on a planet in the Cygnus solar system, or like the Cygnus constellation.
Right.
And this is where most of the movie takes place.
And this is where I thought the film was going to go a little Lord of the Flies, because you got a couple of older boys who are, like, rivals, and not in, like, a haha fun way, but kind of in a, like, you disagreed with me, I'll punch you in the face kind of way.
So, yeah, the three oldest children are a Korean kid who looks very protagonist.
Yep.
A Japanese rival guy who's all spit and vinegar and wants to do everything his way. He's just straight up a rival character.
Yeah.
And he's a loner on top of that. And then we have Brown.
Yeah.
Who is an American kid, and he looks like he's 40.
He does. He looks like one of those kids who's just immediately gone from age 12 to age 40. But the kids end up electing Brown to be their leader.
Because he's a pretty level-headed, reasonable guy compared to anyone else.
Well, especially our protagonist Korean boy and the Japanese boy, who are always kind of bickering with each other.
Yeah. And then most of the other children don't matter. There's one... pretty much the only girl on the ship is just girl who exists and takes care of the younger children.
You did point out to me that there's at least one other girl on the ship.
Yeah, but she...
And I immediately forgot about her.
She also doesn't matter. She's one of the random extra kids that don't matter.
Right.
So many of these kids don't matter.
Oh, and just so you don't forget, none of the kids that we've mentioned so far is the kid whose dad died, but he is also on the ship.
Yeah. He's like one of the youngest children on the ship.
Yes. So he does matter.
So now that they're on this planet, weird stuff happens. Like, the ship is attacked by some weird smoke. And then that youngest kid who's been having the weird dream suddenly shows that he has psychokinetic... he's got special powers. He's got psychic powers, and he chases away the evil smoke or whatever. And then they also eventually find a local of this planet who... They're known as green people. They look like humans, but slightly tinged green because they're vaguely plant-like because they thrive on the sun. Yeah. But the sun has been taken away from them because there's two humans that landed on this planet roughly 7 years ago. And,
foreshadowing.
Yeah. The one guy helped them for a while, and then another one showed up, and then everything changed, and they took away the sun and
the Fire Nation
enslaved
attacked
them and stuff.
Yeah. There's also a Mayan pyramid on this planet, and I hate that.
Again, it's probably they made this set and then they're like, well, shoot, how do we tie this into everything else? And or the humans from Earth decided to have them build a Mayan temple for some reason.
I don't know. It just plays into that whole ancient aliens thing of like, there's no way that these ancient non-European peoples could have made these structures. So obviously aliens came to Earth and taught them how to do it.
Anyways, action happens. Wouldn't you know it, the leader of the evil human is the kid's dad who got lost in space 7 years ago. And he looks like Caesar, except blue.
As opposed to green.
I'm genuinely curious, how many movies have we had either actual factual Caesar show up or Caesar lookalikes that are a different color for some reason?
Quite a shocking amount. I did not know this was such a thing.
Yeah, and they all sound like the same.
Right.
Anyways, he was being mind controlled by the other quote-unquote human guy.
He doesn't look human.
No, he doesn't, but he was using the golden brain to brainwash everybody, and he was going to put evil thoughts in the children.
The golden brain.
And so they could invade Earth, but the youngest kid used his mind powers to free his dad. And so Caesar jumps into the golden brain, turning into Satan and self-destructing the golden brain.
You know, the further we get into this plot, the more I realize how much it just absolutely loses it.
So the green people are free, and the 15 children board their spaceship, and they leave, presumably heading towards Earth, never to be heard from again.
We also gotta point out that the rival kid from Japan is also super into this,
super duper.
Immediately into this green person girl that they find. He's like, baby,
I will do anything for you.
Right, yeah. And so, like, I almost thought at the end of the film that he was going to stay behind with the green people. But no, he gets back on the ship.
Yeah, he gets back on the ship with everybody else, and off they go.
Or, you know, they try to go home. I don't know.
I don't think this movie got a sequel, and maybe it turned into a TV show, but far as I can tell, this is all the adventures these 15 children had in space.
Well, they also mentioned that they get teleported, like...
11 light years.
11 light years away, and they're like, it'll probably take us like 10 or 11 years to get back. And I'm like, guys.
All right.
I think that's going to take more than 10 or 11 years.
Yeah. Who knows? Maybe they have super science.
Maybe, but like, their rocket looks pretty basic. Maybe just because it's an 80s film, but...
Yeah.
It sure doesn't look super science.
Anything else for us?
So, yeah, this was made by Sunwoo Productions. Its director was Zhang Suwang. That's pretty much it for information.
Cool.
I gotta say, from a technical standpoint, I found this film to be a little bit worse production-wise than their previous film, The Time Machine.
There was a lot less flashing lights this time around, though. There was still some, but, like, it was much less.
Yeah, and, you know, I'm being pretty nitpicky here, because, like, the movie looks fine. I think maybe this was just a little bit too ambitious of a project. It's a lot of characters all the time, and, like, a lot of different sets and everything. I don't know. The production on this one just didn't come together as well as it did on Time Machine.
Yeah, I would say this one has too many characters, a bloated plot, but the animation and general production are still okay.
And like, I enjoy the varied character designs for most of the characters, except for the racist caricatures, which I don't love at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, just kind of bland overall.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so with that being said, join us back here next time for our last catch-up film.
Oh my god!
Now,
finally!
I know some people have looked at the list and saw that there have been other catch-up films showing up on the list. But you know what? This next movie that we watch will be the 21st or 24th, I don't remember, I've lost count, catch-up film since we finished 1981. So we really want to get to go and do another actual year
Please.
of Animation Pilgrimage. So we're going to save all those others and we'll get to them
after we finish 1982.
Yes. So, with all that being said, join us back here next time for the 1981 Sunwoo South Korean film, 30,000 Leagues in Search of Mother.
Another interesting title.
Yep. We'll see how that turns out.
Alright, see you then.